Okay, so after a lot of this consideration, I finally decided to do this One Piece what if that I made back like when I was, I think when I was like, I don't know, like 17 or like 15. It happened around the time that I saw Ace, Luffy, and Sabo, and then I remembered like the CP9 and the Six Powers and how easily Luffy picked them up, and I was wondering, well, he picked up Zoro. Ooh. No, not Zoro. It was which one was it? Wait, hold up a bit. It was no, it was Zoro. Never mind. Yeah, it was Zoro. So after he picked that up, I was like wondering, what would happen if the ASL brothers actually had training with the Six Powers as children? And you might be wondering, well, how would that even happen? Because like they had no way to like get that, right? I mean, there's nobody around that could have possibly had the knowledge to teach them that, went through like the Grand Line and the New World. You would think that, but then you would also have to remember that they got training from this dude, Nagui. Now, he didn't exactly train them per se, he just had to do like some manual labor. He did have a brief fight with Ace. I say brief because he kind of curb stomped Ace. But Ace did put up a okay fight against an old man. Anyway, this is Nagui right here. And, well, for this scenario to play out, we're going to say like that he once was like a retired Marine officer. And that he had some ties like with secret government like agencies and stuff like that. Kind of like similar to like Smoker in a way, and that he was basically a defective from the Marines who became a pirate. And that would explain like why he wouldn't like be a. That explains how he managed to get so far to fight Goldie Roger up to that point. And even though he said he was pretty much destroyed by Goldie Roger, if you look closely at him, there's not really that many scratches on him. So he actually could have been quite strong in his prime. But with all that out of the way, now we're going to get to the what if. So this what if will start off with like Ace, Sabo, and Luffy, of course, training with Nagui after he beat Ace in like that lopsided fight. After he's fighting Ace, Nagui would look over and see that Luffy is once again trying to practice his Gumma Gumma no pistol. And of course he misses the target, and it ends up hitting Ace in the face. And Ace looks at Luffy and just straight up, you know how Ace was when he was younger. Runs up to Luffy, puts him in a chokehold and tries to strangle him. Then Sabo politely apologizes to Nagui, saying something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm sorry for this, Nagui, this is quite embarrassing," and then he like goes over to try to stop them. Nagui just laughs it off like, no, until he looks up and sees that Ace is actually hurting Luffy in a stranglehold, which is odd considering Luffy is made completely of rubber, so this shouldn't be happening. But the more he thinks about it, the more he's under the assumption that, to have hockey at such a young age, And it's all, doesn't look like they realize it at the moment, though. Maybe I could teach them. Yeah, they've shown that they could handle it. Let's get it started, And so he calls, so then he's like, "Okay, boys, come here. Got something new for you, Then Nagui, of course, and then they all, of course, go to Nagui because, like, he's the teacher. Luffy appears smiling despite what just happened. Sabo has like a cautious look, and Ace is just annoyed. Of course, and Ace is like, "Okay, old man, what do you gotta show us?" And then Nagui just bluntly says, How would you boys like to do some more superhuman training?" See, the Six Powers, as the Marines like to call it. Use your own tricks against them whenever you get the chance. Yes. At the mention of hearing something about Six Powers, Ace notably starts to perk up at this. Because if you wanna get Ace's attention, you're gonna have something interesting. and get the ability to get stronger to protect like his friends and his brothers and stuff, or just to get stronger in general, that's gonna get his attention. Same way with Luffy and Sabo. Both Sabo to break further away from his corrupt noble heritage, and Luffy to just be king of the pirates. All of them immediately perk up and are like, "Whoa, really?" And Luffy's like, "Show us, show us, show us, show us." And then Nagui's like has to calm them down and everything. And for those of you who have forgotten like what the 6 powers are, I'll go over them briefly so we can like see like what we're dealing with here. Okay, so let's see. I'm also gonna go over these and give an example like through what Nagui is doing. So first he knows, Nagui of course knows what interests them because he's been around them like a lot. So he'll know which ones to start off with and which ones to end it with. And I want to preface this enough. Nagui knows how to do a lot, pretty much a lot, all of the 6 powers, but he's not a master of any of them. It's more like, you know, a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So he hasn't mastered any of them. So if you were looking for like the ASL to get like the wiki gun ability, then that's not gonna happen. And I mean, you never know. You never know. One of them might master all of it to get this. But we all know Luffy would have no interest in the wiki gun. Ace most likely wouldn't really be interested in it. Then I would just leave Sabo. Will he learn how to do the wiki gun, or will he not learn how to do the wiki gun? Well, we're gonna have to find out. But for now, he would go on to display the Jigon ability first, and he would do this. Okay, for those who want to know, the Jigon is basically called finger pistol in like the dub. I kind of like the Jigon name a bit better because it just sounds something out of the ordinary, like what the technique is. And as you can see from this, a bullet isn't needed to pierce the human body. You can probably see what this is going. Essentially, the Jigon is basically the user's fingers are so hardened to the point where you can just really just jam your fingers through somebody's body, or just through solid steel if you want to. And Nagui does this. He gets up, walks over to a piece of metal and just jams his finger through it. And it pierces, and it makes a big indent in it, and actually breaks through it eventually. All of the brothers are completely astonished by this because while all 3 of them are clearly superhuman for children, they haven't seen anything to this extent before. Sabo especially takes interest in this ability, wondering immediately if he can replicate something like this with like his staff or something. But for now he's more content to just use it as it is with his fingers. And after this, he will also look at Ace and Sabo and say, "Both of you come at me, Noshi." He would just basically welcome both of them to try to hit him as hard as they can. And he'll use 2 techniques here. He'll basically use Tenkai. No, wait. Actually, never mind. He'll use Kami. And with this, there's no art to being hid. That's how Bruno will describe it. So basically like this. Excuse me. What Kami is basically, it's the extraordinary flexibility in order to avoid any attacks, float, and bending their body like a piece of paper. There's not really much else to say about it. So Ace and Sabo will be trying to hit him with the pipes, while Luffy is just jumping in trying to hit him with one of his gum pistols. And it actually happens to be on Mark miraculously today. Not that it matters, considering Nagui just bends and weaves out of all of their attacks like they're nothing. He doesn't even really bother to like register them. He's not even looking at their attacks. His body is just instinctively moving out of the way of each attack, as if it was made of paper just floating in the wind. Then when he gets tired of he just simply stops moving, and he just disappears from their sight altogether. All three of them are just wondering, what the hell? Where'd he go? Yo, Ace yells, and then Luffy's like, he disappeared. He's gone. And then Sabo, who is the more tactical of all of the three of them, to just be honest, just instead of exclaiming out loud, simply looks around. He's still surprised, but he's keeping a more level head about it than Luffy or Ace. And then he sees, huh? How did you get up there? And then they look behind them like 10 or 20 feet away. It's a several feet away, but they find out that Nagui is like now on top of the ship that they were building, helping him build, and it's like, huh? And Nagui's like, surprised at it, didn't I know, see? This is called Suru. Woo. Or as I like to just call it, shave. Or flat step. So it legs there's one's body to disappear. So Nagui basically. So this is what Suru is essentially. You're basically using your legs to move faster than the eye can perceive. Which is kind of strange considering most people in One Piece were doing this before this happened. But this is I guess this is just a more superhuman way of moving faster than the eye can see. Then again, most people in One Piece are casually superhuman. So I guess this is like superhuman plus, you could say, or like supernatural. So yeah, basically like supernatural. So also the thing about this is like that Sanji was able to do this before learning. He was able to do soul like techniques before this due to how explosive his leg strength is. I mean, I think he would be able to. So Sanji doesn't really need soul because his legs are basically that fast to move at that speed. And he's shown that he's actually faster than Luffy and Zoro when like he pushes himself at, like before like the time skip. So with that out of the way, Nagui then begins to show them the other abilities. At least. So he just goes through them whatever it. Okay, so we went over. He then would like point to like a large boulder away from them, and then he would do the wiki. Then he would do like something called he would do like the Wakyuku, like or in other words, it's called the Tempest Kick. So he would do the Tempest Kick, and he would slice the boulder up completely. Completely slice it in half. And all of them would just be too shocked for words, except for Luffy, of course, who would be like, oh, so cool! He cut that boulder in half like it was made of paper. Amazing! And Luffy would have stars in his eyes, and then Sabo would also mostly, like, all of them. Then Ace would just be, like, smirking, saying, looks like it was a good idea to come here after all. Not bad, GG. See, and then Sabo would be like, it's amazing. So basically, I think you can get the gist of what Wankyaku, or like the Tempest Kick is. It's basically slicing cutting it so. It's basically like swelling like your legs or arms so fast that you cause cutting winds. Yes, you can do this with your arms too if like you don't have the leg strength. Then there are various techniques to it that you can learn as well. Oh, wait, hold up a bit. Oh. Okay, never mind that. That was like one of those toll-free calls or whatever. But now back to like the what if. So once this is done, he would essentially next. So once this is done, he would go on to like just show off the other powers to like get them out of the way. Next would be Geppo, in which he would just basically it's called Skywalk. The strength in our legs is something we can push off curtains of air to stay afloat. It would pretty much just be jumping from like jumping to the sky, and at this point the three brothers are just like really want to get this training underway, because if they can get these skills down right now, there's no telling what they can be able to do in the future. Maybe it could even like make them able to defend against Garp when he tries to train them, or like they're just going through them. And Luffy definitely knows this will help him become king of the pirates. And Ace knows this will help set him apart from his dad, because his dad most likely wouldn't have known these. And that'll make him even more unique and powerful enough to make a name for himself. Sabo likes them because it just feels Sabo likes them because Sabo likes everything he's seen so far, especially the finger pistol. He can't know why, but being able to use his fingers as like a stabbing weapon or like a crushing tool just appeals to him a lot. And if any of you have like watched enough of One Piece, you'll know why that is. And then he would just finally he would go up to a cliff and he would kick a giant boulder down on top of his head, and the three of them would be like, "What's in the gums?" And although the three of them saw him do all of this, they still worry a bit about his safety, and they don't know the limits of these techniques yet. And so they would be a bit alarmed, but no one would move to try to stop it. They would, of course, they would see like saying, "Oh man, look out!" And then he just says, "Tenkai," or iron body. We train our bodies so that we can turn them into iron corpses if we so choose. And essentially what iron body does is just, it hardens your body and all the muscles within to essentially be able to tank attacks that would notably cripple a normal human being. And since this is One Piece where normal human beings can react to gunfire and take multiple gunshots and not die, that's saying a lot. Oh, also take getting hit by Luffy and not die. That's saying way more than a lot. So with this, it's basically you can survive attacks that are considerably more powerful than what you could take. It's not an invincible defense, and he makes sure to tell them this doesn't make you invincible. It just makes you more enduring, and it depends on like your body. And there are various abilities that can cut through this such as people that are just notably stronger than you, people that have certain attacks that can attack you on like a non-physical level like hockey. All of them perk their ears up at this, saying like, what's hockey? Okay, and then he skips that and just says, or like an elemental attack like lightning or fire, or like a strong wind blast, cutting wind. Actually, I think I might defend against that. It would depend. And thus it depends on like a lot of factors, and it does not make you indestructible. But those that have mastered this can, in some cases, be able to like deflect things like cannon fire with ease, with just their bare hands. And so now with all this being said, he does tell them that there's like a secret technique called the Wokyugun, and that once you master all the 6 powers, you can now unlock this. He doesn't, of course he knows the name, but he doesn't really know what it does, because he's never met anybody that has mastered these, but he did hear a name about somebody who mastered them. Somebody along the name of Rob Lucci or something. Then it's been years. But it's been like someone along the line. Wait, actually, no, I don't think Rob Lucci was born yet at that time. Was he? Oh no, he wasn't born yet. Never mind. So he doesn't remember. But he says nobody in the realm of the 6 abilities has ever mastered it. So it's more of a legend. He just says it might have something to do with shockwaves, though. No, but it might have something to do with shockwaves or something. No, see, for all I know. But that would be ridiculous. No, see. And all 3 of them are now just super stoked because they have a new goal now. They don't now they can take their training finally to the next level. And Nagui just looks at all of them and he's smiling with that tooth missing out, which kind of looks like Sabo when he's smiling. And he's like, "So, which ones you want to begin with, Noshi?" See, and then all 3 of them are just like choosing which abilities they want to learn first. And Nagui's like saying, "May have to stay on this here island for a bit longer, but it's better. But I did offer to train them and stuff. And who knows? I might even learn a few new things myself. No, see. So, with that out of the way, the 3 now begin their superhuman training. And I think it's clear to see from this picture which abilities they would want to like master first. Okay, the main reason like they were training with Nagui was to be able to beat that tiger. You know, the king of like the forest or something. They wanted to beat that giant tiger. Because whoever beat him would become like the captain. Then, so that's also why they're training, because they still want to like become a pirate crew together. But like, we'll get to that when we get to that, because there's gonna be some changes at that, and then there's gonna be a lot of this is not just gonna make a few slight changes. It's gonna make some very big changes in the timeline, but you're gonna see that as we go along. So at this point, like, Luffy of course would choose Zoro. He would choose Zoro. Because for one, of all the abilities that he picked up from like CP9, that's the first one he picked up. And let's just face it, it's kind of like the most basic ability if someone like Kobe can master it in just a few weeks. And these guys have been doing it for years. And Kobe just manages to get Zoro in less than a couple of minutes. Less than a couple of days, really, because I think it was like a day or 2 before they got the sea train ready. And then he had like maybe a few hours on the train to think it over, and he could only do it like in Gear 2nd, and that's why he went into Gear 2nd to like blitz Bluno when they were roughly on par with one another. Like Luffy had probably like a Dorkai in like the thousands, whereas Bluno had like one in the 800, like 800 and wait, hold up a bit. Good, because like I know he had 800 in Blue Nose level was 820. And again, this Dorkai level is gonna be really important later on, because I will be using it to like address how powerful they are at the moment. But like for now, just remember, and I will be addressing this like in the next segment of like the video probably, because this is gonna be like very important for like the series this what if series going onwards. So I'm gonna be talking about the Dorkai level in a bit. But for now, we're just going over the powers that the 3 of them would most likely do. And of course, Luffy will go with Zoro because, dude likes to go fast. Dude likes to go fast, and he gets it down in less than a couple of days. Well, the basics anyway. Still takes him a lot of effort, and it tires him out to do it too much. But he can still do it comparable to Nagui. we by like the end of like 2 weeks, I guess. And I guess he pretty much would practice Zoro intensively because to become like a bit faster. All of them would, and of course Ace and Sabo would want to practice Zoro as well. Well, because because they both realize it's also one of the easiest techniques to learn, so they would want to get it out of the way too. But they don't solely focus on it like Luffy would at the start. They would also begin to Ace, of course, would want to go with Tenkai or Iron Body, because he liked to be because he liked to, he liked to stand in the way, like his family and friends from danger and all that. So he would want to be able to take those hits. So he would have Nagui pretty much train him with the Iron Body, which would pretty much expose him to more brutal beatings than he thought possible. To like toughen up his body. He would even have Ace, Luffy and Sabo try to like break him or something. This would of course lead to some broken bones, some cuts, and lots of bruising. And especially a black eye that one time, like when Luffy's fist was off. And it was one of the one times where Ace was upset but didn't want to punch Luffy in the face for it. And Luffy is still looking over his shoulder to this day for like when Ace gets him back for that. But like at the end of the day, Ace is just happy that he got it. That Ace is able to unlock a certain degree of Iron Body. To the point where when Nagui would throw like a cannonball at him, it would just push him back. Ace would still cough up a bit of spit, but it's better than coughing up a whole lung full of blood from eternal damage. And his bones would actually creak, but they wouldn't break, showing that he now has unlocked the novice level of Iron Body, to the point where a cannonball crashing into his chest, being thrown by someone who could knock a bear the size of a house several feet back, back with just a wooden mallet couldn't even hurt. Didn't only like he felt slight pain from it, but it felt like someone was punching him in the chest instead of like a lead ball flying at him, and like with the speed comparable to that of a bullet. So he would practice. Sabo, on the other hand, would be practicing 3 abilities at once. Because again, all of them are practicing Zoro, because it's one of the most basic techniques, and all of them are pretty much they're gonna have to be able to use that. Because in a fight, speed normally kills, and that goes for unarmed combat, that as well as usually, weapon combat, which is what Sabo is going to be using, because he doesn't really want to leave behind using his pipe as a weapon. Then he just feels connected to it, So he would, of course, practice Geppu, or Skywalk. He would practice that move extensively. And it would not be easy, because he would be falling over a lot. He would be up high in the sky, and then when he would try to do it again, he would just miss, or just his legs would be so tired he couldn't generate enough force, and then he would just fall down from several feet in the sky. One time it led to a bloody nose. One time it led to like him dislocating his shoulder. One time he even sprained his Achilles heel, and he physically could not walk right for like a day or two afterwards. And if anyone's ever got like those pains you get like when you run too fast, and like your ankles are like sore after all that running, yeah, that's basically what happens, and it is not a pleasant experience, and that has happened to me too. But he does eventually get it down after like a week and a half, alongside studying how to do finger pistol. This is probably one. Now, this should be one of the hardest techniques, because it's like, and you would think this would be as hard as Tenkai, but remember, with finger pistol, you're mostly just hardening your hands instead of like your entire body. And considering that the three of them have been fighting repeatedly, really for days before they met Nagui, they would naturally have stronger hands than most other people. So Sabo would get to a novice level a bit faster than like one would expect. He's not mastered it at all. If he hits something harder than wood with his fingers, they'll break. And he knows this from experience. But like after he experience, and so he can only like pierce through really thick wood at the moment. But he found out that his grip strength has increased exponentially as well, though, and that when he uses all of his fingers at the same time, he can actually pierce through certain types of rock. But when he's just using one finger, it can only pierce through thick wood. So all three of them are actually increasing in the training. By the end of like, say, a month or something. By the end of like, say, let's see. They're all basically out of an intermediate or novice level. Oh wait, also Luffy copies down Zoro in like 3 weeks to like a month. All three of them have basically achieved what they wanted to with their abilities. Ace can now tank cannonballs to the chest without even flinching. Or sliding back, flinching, and only the ground beneath him is affected. Did with his Tenkai. Sabo can skywalk across the air as if he was flying. And he can use his finger pistol now. One finger can pierce through rock, and all 5 of his fingers can pierce through solids, through thin layers of steel. But it does strain his hands when he does it too much, and he does have to rest in between doing each, and he does have to manage them. And Luffy can use Zoro all over the place, disappearing from his brother's sights just to play around with him. And while all three of them do have it in this scenario, Luffy has mastered it to an extent that the other two could only hope to. As he's able to actually use it extensively, even while he's in mid-air, without the use of Geppo. And now Luffy has set his sights on mastering that other ability that Nagui showed off, the Kami ability, that paper ability. He's not sure why, but his instincts just tell him that it's imperative that he learns how to move unconsciously, like have his body just flow, but still be in control of like his senses and stuff. For some reason, he just knows who might meet an opponent down the line that may have the ability to. For some reason, it's just like, and then they ask him why, and he's like, well, I don't really know. It's just like I have a feeling I might fight someone down the line that requires me to move out of the way of their attacks without actually consciously moving. I know, it's weird. I know, it's a weird feeling to me too. And then this Ace and Sabo just shrugged because, like, of course Luffy would have that feeling, No, I mean, this is Luffy we're talking about. Just no need to apply too much logic to it. And they can fight, but he does have a point. This is why Ace decides to, like, practice a new 6 powers. And, like, practice, like, another one. And the one that Ace would choose next would most likely be, let's see. The one he chooses next might, but that's why Ace decides to like upgrade like his Tenkai to work like while he's moving, so like he can now attack with Tenkai and use it as like a physical attack instead of just like a physical defense. He finds this is really hard because he needs to find a balance between moving and just letting his momentum carry him through to like strike as a target like an unrelenting boulder crashing into him. He also decides that since he is like the strongest of his brothers at the moment, because Ace was actually physically superior to Luffy and Sabo early on, like as children. I mean, it's vastly changed now, but like he's still like the strongest one there. So he would probably want to like use that wiki. So he didn't remember like when Nagui did that Tempest kick, and he wonders, I wonder if I could make a replica of that, but with my arms instead. And then Sabo would be like, I wonder if and then Sabo would try to probably do the Tempest Kick as well. Oh, but, you know, with his leg. Because he's already strengthened them with Geppo, so it makes sense that he would naturally try to do like it with his legs. Because his arms are already being used to make the finger pistol. So he doesn't really have a need for that. But Sabo is the only one of the brothers who would really want to use Geppo. And Luffy wouldn't really need any of the other powers anyway, because why would he need Iron Body? His body's already made of resilient rubber, and a lot of attacks will just either bounce off him or not affect him at all. He's even immune to some. He would even be immune to certain types of like elemental attacks due to his rubber body, like lightning, for instance. And so he wouldn't really need it. He also wouldn't really need Geppo because, again, he can stretch to reach high places. So he wouldn't need that at all. He wouldn't need Finger Pistol because my fists are already as strong as pistols. What do I need a Finger Pistol for? So he wouldn't need that at all. Either. He wouldn't really need Wanyaku because he can stretch his limbs and attack people from several meters away. Like, his main strategy is to stretch and attack people that are far away. So he doesn't need that either. And he wouldn't. So basically, the only ability, the 6 powers Luffy would have are Kami and Suru. So those are the only powers he would have. And he would be and since he has less to master, he would pretty much get the hang of them faster than Ace and Sabo. But Ace and Sabo would still be stronger because there's Ace is literally turning himself into an iron wall of the fence that can move, and trying to develop like the Yaku, with his arms, like those arm blades. He doesn't really. He's looking to master Tenkai more, but he does realize that if he does need to do those attacks, those arm blade attacks, then he'll be able to do them because something tells him he might need them down the line. In case he just, for instance, if by some random miracle he gets a devil fruit and then it gets turned off, he could use Wankiyaku, the blade kick to knock the blade away. Hold up a bit. What is it? Yeah. Okay, thanks, son. I was about to get in the shower. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. What's your name? Hey, what's your name? Brittany. Okay. Yeah, nice lady. Okay, so anyway, on to finishing this off for this part, and then Sabo would just go on to master Geppo, Wakyuku, and the Finger Pistol. So Sabo was actually learning more of the 6 powers than Ace and Sabo. Not that Ace and Luffy. Not that Ace and Luffy mind because they don't really need. Not that Ace and Luffy mind because they don't really need the other 6 powers at the moment. Then from this point on, they would just go on. Then of course, Nagui would have them spar each other. And as he sees them mastering the 6 powers, he starts to realize that, there's more to these than I thought, no shit. And he actually starts to learn a bit from them as well. About abilities with the 6 powers he didn't even know before. And on to the changes I said would be happening in this part. These awesome changes. So he would actually observe them fighting and everything. And then they would also have the 100 fights per day with each other. And as they're having these 100 fights per day, the both of them they all start to see changes in the fight record. And I'm gonna say this to get it out of the way first. Here's the fight record as of now. It starts out with Luffy fighting Sabo, and Luffy uses sword to get behind Sabo and kicks and punches him in the face with a with a gum pistol. And Luffy's gum pistols now are more accurate with now because he's been doing better training with them and moving at higher speeds so he can react faster. And Sabo narrowly uses Geppo to get out of the way and get above, but then he tried to hit Luffy, but Luffy dodges out of the way using Kami. But he only to get hit like with a side kick from Sabo, as Sabo predicts where his next fist will go. Then he uses finger pistol to stab Luffy through the back, and Luffy just falls into his arms, and then Ace is like, okay, get poop. Then this was like the last fight of the day, so he just writes it off like, okay, and that is the end of the mats. And then of course, at mats, but then he realized he fought Sabo. Then he realizes that that kick that Sabo did actually had Wakyuku, but it had a numbed down version that stunned Luffy long enough for him to like get in behind them. And then he smiles as he realizes Sabo's trick. Then he signs off and says like, okay, so here's the new record for like the fights between the three of them. And get ready because this has a lot of changes later on. He says, let's see. Yeah, oh, and also Luffy before he was knocked out, he quotes, "Did I win yet?" And Ace is like, "No, idiot, you lost." Ace replied rashly as he just looks at it again. Says, let's see. Luffy 20. Sabo 30. Let's see. Sabo 30. And I got Sabo 30, 40. Sabo 4. Sabo. Oh, let's see. How much did Sabo get? Okay, Ace get. Let's see. Luffy 20. Sabo. Oh. Luffy 20. Sabo 30. Me 50. They then start to realize, and of course, most of these victories Luffy got were over Sabo more than Ace. But the fact that Luffy beat Ace once is astonishing to both of them. And they're like turning to Nagui saying, how did all this train real range or scores? Because they just thought they were learning new abilities. But what Nagui tells them is that, well, you see, these abilities don't just give you some fancy powers. They also increase your body well beyond normal human capabilities. No see. So you're welcome. And now you can see how this would change the story drastically. Because Luffy now has not only beaten Ace, Luffy's no longer never beaten Ace. He has beaten him, but it's been a very rare occurrence, like once in every blue moon. He's beaten Sabo more than Ace, however, because remember in the original timeline, Luffy lost against Sabo and Ace every time they fought. But in this timeline, he's winning a bit more of them. So yeah, if you didn't already tell now, Luffy's gonna be a good bit stronger than he was in this timeline than when he was in the original one. So after this, the three of them then get together, and they all collectively aside, and Nagui even agrees, saying, bit unfair of you all to go after one monster now, isn't it, See, and then the three of them just nod and they say, the first one back here with the chosen target wins. And all three of them just rush out to different parts of the jungle to go get their own different types of animals. And for what type of animals and for which types of animals we're going to end up going after to get, I'm gonna say that for next time. So yes, the ASL brothers are vastly strong, much stronger in this scenario than they would in the original timeline. But I will be continuing this as far as can go.
like possibly I hope to continue this as the series continues and end as the series ends. And but we're going then that is the plan, and I am going to stick by that. So give me some support, some likes, maybe some feedback on how to make the next one better, and I will read and take them into consideration. And I thank you for watching and having the interest to look at this first what if the ASO was had superhuman training with the 6 powers scenario. And thank you, and stay faithful, my brawlers, and peace.